Good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yay. Finally.
How are you this morning?
I'm very good. I have not been able to sign on to any of the meetings for like 2 weeks.
There haven't been any meetings in 2 weeks here.
Oh, what about yesterday?
Yesterday, there was a technical glitch.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Yesterday we had, well, I was supposed to run the listing club in the morning, but for some reason it ended on December 31st, and it slipped through the cracks. It wasn't restarted. And then once I launched it, it was already 8:30 and everyone had kind of left for the day. But that's okay. We'll start List Club next week.
Exciting stuff. I have, I closed one more of my properties since I saw you last. And one of the properties, they liked it so much. The one that was such a, they had called me out of the blue and said, please sell our property. And I said, sure. Well, they called me again and gave me another listing.
Well, there you go. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, leverage the last one to get the next one.
Yes.
Hello, Royal and Melanie. Or Melanie Royal. Melanie, welcome.
Hello, how are you? I am.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
How was everybody's holiday? I know I've been out of it for a little while.
It was very nice, thank you. How about yours?
It was relaxing.
Good.
Yeah. It was very good.
I was going to catch up on work, but then I said, forget it.
Exactly. Sometimes you need that break. I had family in from Texas, so that was nice.
Very nice. Awesome. Yeah, I tried not to do anything.
So Rosemary's got some listings going. How's everything going for you, Melanie? How's business?
It's going good. Still getting in the swing of things. Trying to get everything down pat and get organized and prepare for the new year. Definitely looking forward to the training courses that begin in January. So Jason and I are going to attend those.
Awesome. Awesome. So I think this, I know Rosemary has joined us for T1 for this a couple of times. I think this is your first session, right, Melanie?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. So T1, we'll do a quick overview. Basically, our goal is to get you guys to your first transaction and mentor you actually for your first 3 and kind of get your business off and rolling. What we'll cover are some basics of lead generation, how to go through the process for buyers and sellers. We go over the forms, how to get offers written, how to negotiate the offers. We go through basically a step-by-step process. And we're going to follow the curriculum that's laid out in Keller Williams Ignite series. Are you guys familiar with that?
No.
Okay, we
yes,
ran
Ignite training on
every other
Thursdays.
month.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What's that?
No, I was asking. Go ahead. Go ahead. Never mind.
I was going to say that. So the Ignite training is the curriculum, and I don't feel like I don't feel like it or don't feel like it. The curriculum is great. There's no sense in really redoing the curriculum because the process of buying and selling a home is pretty much the same. However, the change or the differences in everyone's business and how we lead generate and what we do to secure more clients. And that's kind of the second part of this class. So it's one part education, right? Teaching you through the process. But the second part is going to be accountability. And that's actually going through and working towards achieving your goals, making the calls that you need to make to generate appointments, and then nurturing those appointments into transactions. And that's the process. I know Rosemary, you've been in the business for a little bit. Melanie and Jason, you're new, right? Totally new. Have you guys?
Correct. I'm very new.
Okay. One of the biggest challenges new agents have, probably the biggest challenge in my opinion, is credibility. Credibility can be overcome with confidence and practice, right? If you talk about what you know what you're talking about and you talk about it confidently, No one's going to ask you how long you've been in business or what your credentials are as far as experience goes in general. But nevertheless, some might, and it's good to have an arsenal, if you will, something good to say to help you get the business, right? And ultimately, you know, you want to fall back on your training, your office, and your mentor, right? Who you're going to partner with for your first 3 deals to make sure that you're doing a good job. I'm confident you guys' intent is to do a good job, but it's just to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. Make sure that your clients have your advice, which will be hopefully influenced with our classes and whatnot, but also if they need some direct help, I'm also available to consult and make sure that all questions are answered and no one's left hanging. Also, with your first transactions, especially, you know, buyers are a little easier, but sometimes listing appointments can be a challenge. And we're there to support you in those listing appointments. So I'm there to support you in buyer appointments too, but also to, you know, have a listing scenario where you have a potential client that may want to sell their house. You've never done a listing presentation before. Maybe you've only seen me do it once or twice in these classes. Well, I'm happy to come out with you and make sure that the business is secured. Make sure that your clients are comfortable moving forward with you and me to hopefully successfully achieve their goals. That's it.
Great.
There is a small cost associated with that. I don't know if Laura explained that to you or when you signed on, but it's a 20% off your first 3 deals would be shared with your mentor program. And I would love for it to be me. If you guys want to work with me, I'm happy to do it. If you guys want to work with a different mentor in the office, you're welcome to do that as well. There's a couple. But yeah, that's that. You guys have any questions moving forward or concerns that's something pressing that you must learn today to help you in your business? What do you guys think? Is there anything of that nature that you want me to cover?
No, I am on your timeline.
Okay.
Same here.
So someone had a request to get some information. Let's say your best friend called and said, "Hey, I want to list my house for sale." What do you do? Any ideas? Hallmark right away.
The listing agreement, right? We want to secure that with the agreement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to secure with the listing agreement as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Now, with the listing agreements, keep in mind that we'll call it by law because it's a NAR rule. We have to get the property on the MLS once the listing is signed within 3 days, unless the buyer or the seller signs what's called an MLS waiver. Now, are you guys familiar with what the MLS is?
Yes.
All right, multiple listing service, it's the biggest database of available homes for sale, right? If you're a home seller and you want to sell your home for the most money possible in the shortest amount of time, you want to expose it to the greatest amount of buyers. The greatest amount of buyers are looking through MLS portals. So the MLS is the basic place where listings get placed, and then they push out from there. Now, sometimes clients don't want the house on the MLS. Why? Maybe they're private people. Maybe they have a number in mind that can be hit without having to go through the whole rigmarole of marketing. Maybe they just want a quick, quiet, private sale. Some people are like that. Okay. The other reason we exclude properties from the MLS would be for preparation, right? We have a listing, someone's intention is to sell, but we all know that the house in its current condition is not going to sell very well, right? Maybe there's some problems, some jagged carpeting, some linoleum that's old and crusty, right? That we need to repair and replace. So we want to take the listing, but we want to wait maybe a month or 2 before we place it on MLS because it's going to need to be prepared for sale. So we run an MLS exclusion. You guys know where to go to get these forms?
On the car forms?
Right. Car forms. Melanie, are you familiar with car forms?
Yes.
You know how to get into car forms. If you needed to pull up a listing agreement to do, you could do that. I don't need to go over it.
I have a quick question. How long do you make your listing agreement for? I was told, oh, why would you do more than 6 months? And I'm like, I don't know.
You know, it's a case-by-case basis. It's a case-by-case basis. But ultimately, we want to protect our investment as agents, because we do, when we place a house on the market, we have an investment to get the house and, you know, market the house and get it ready for sale. We want to give it enough time to make the sale. And we know that markets shift and change. So just because the market's awesome today and we expect everything to sell in 30 days, doesn't mean that in 2 weeks the Fed's might not raise the rates and interest rates go through the roof and all of a sudden, you know, activity goes down, right? So we don't know what happens time to time. So we need to protect ourselves. You know, in a hot market like this, if the pricing is aggressive, you can probably get away with as little as 3 to 4 months. I like to see 6 months because that way it'll give you some time in case things don't go well. Maybe you miss high on the price. You need a little bit of time to bring the price down, things of that nature. So 6 months is good. In some cases, some homes are tough to sell. Like maybe you'll have a tenant occupied property where a tenant's in there for at least another 6 months, but the people might want to get it sold, maybe off MLS if you find an investor, so forth and so on. You know, in those cases, you have the MLS exclusion as well.
Okay.
What was your question, Rosemary? I'm sorry, I didn't write it down and I may have lost.
How long do you set
The
your
length of the agreement.
the length of the agreement?
I have one that I had a 2-year listing agreement on because I had a tenant in the property for a year. We couldn't really market it well, but we still had to invest money and time in going out there and preparing and taking photos and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, you know, that listing agreement was for 2 years.
Okay.
I've had situations with house flippers. You know, if you're working with investors and you find someone a great deal to buy and you know they're going to flip it, you got to tie that listing opportunity up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they may be working on it for a year and, you know, might be ready for the market sometime in the middle of 2023. That's fine. We signed a 2-year, 3-year listing agreement, Mr. Flipper. When you're ready to sell, I'm your listing agent. That's part of the deal.
Oh, so when you meet with the client, you get the listing agreement, even though they're not ready to sell yet.
Yeah, you want to get the listing agreement signed as soon as they're ready to choose you.
Oh,
As soon as
okay.
they're ready to choose you, right?
Got
The
it.
client, I want to sell my house, maybe this month, maybe next month, it's okay, but Rosemary, I like you. I think you do a
Okay.
good job. I want to hire you to be my agent. So
Okay.
if you have those things, even those buying signals, then you definitely want to get that listing agreement signed right away. And
Okay.
it's like, hey, I'm excited to sell your house. I know we have a few months to prepare it. I'd like to get this listing agreement signed today. This will empower me to start pitching your property at my networking events, in my office, and other marketing opportunities. So that way we can build momentum and then get your home sold. You know, how do homes sell in 2 or 3 days with multiple offers way over list price? Because they're pre-marketed for 3 months prior to.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
So they get that started.
Got it.
So we know how to get the listing agreement. We know how to go through car forms to print one up, if not necessarily fill it out yet, but at least print it out.
Got it. Okay.
You guys are good with that?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thanks.
So we can get listing agreement signed. How about purchase agreements? You go to the same place, right? You guys know how to go into the win forms and do all that. I don't need to refresh that.
What's it? Say it again.
Just to refresh the curriculum to how to get into the win forms and access the
no.
forms. You guys are all good.
No. Got that.
Okay. Cool. So we have another participant. Welcome, Velma. Alan calling you? Okay, so we know how to go in and get the forms. I know Vilma knows how to go in and get the forms. We were working on that prior to the new year. Okay. So then what's our focus then? If we know how to get the forms, the focus should be to get the ball rolling and get appointments started. What's the process? Are you guys familiar with the home buying and selling process?
Start with making sure the house is ready. Seeing what the owners or the sellers want to put into, how much they want to invest in selling their house, and then what kind of a marketing plan you should do for them.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Rosemary. So once we have an inkling of a client that wants to transact, right, we'll start on the listing side. And they say, hey, Melanie, Rosemary, Vilma, I have a house I need to sell. I need you to come over and list it for me. Okay. First step is to set a listing appointment. Even though you may have a great relationship with someone and they're going to sign with you, you could probably just print the contract up, put it in front of them. They love you, they'll sign it. Still, even though you might have that great relationship, you can get that listing agreement signed. You're a long way from getting the house sold. So it's important, very, very important to conduct a meeting. And it's important with buyers, as just as important as it is with listings. Set expectations and explain the process. I've made this mistake on more than one occasion. I'll hopefully never make it again. I probably will, but maybe not. But you never want to assume your client knows the process. They may want to sell their home. They may have bought and sold before, but not in this market. Not how things work this way. So it's very, very, very important to have that meeting and actually go through a full listing presentation, even though they may already be ready to sign. Because what do we cover? Do you guys know what to cover in a listing presentation? What different things that you want to make sure that you touch base on that people might be confused about?
No, I'd love to hear those.
Yeah, let's pretend you're the home seller, right? You're the home seller, I'm the agent, I'm sitting in your living room, and I'm asking you a quick question. Guys, I know you want me to be the answer to your prayers, but the only way I can do that is to know what you're praying for. Mr. Seller, how can I exceed your expectations? What are you hoping to achieve with our relationship? Listen to what they have to say. There are several things that we need to make sure that we cover. The number one thing is we want to make sure that we cover what's important to our clients. That's why I like to ask that question first, because that way you can understand what's at the forefront of their mind. What are they most concerned with? And when it comes to selling things to people, you want to make sure that you understand what they're afraid of, because the fear is what will prevent them from signing on the dotted line. It's all the only thing that prevents them from signing on the dotted line. They're afraid of something. They're afraid either you're not the right one, they're afraid they're not comfortable with the process. So in our appointment, we need to make sure that we are the right one and that they're very comfortable with our process. Okay. So the process of getting a home sold on the listing side, what has to happen? Are people going to come view the house? When and how? Are there any security concerns for a home seller that lives in the house? Is the house vacant? How are we going to control the flow of people? How are we going to keep their property secure? Right, that's a question we're probably going to need to answer. When are people going to be coming through their house? When they come, should they be there? Should they be there selling the features of the house, or should they take a walk? right? What do we do to generate an offer? We follow up. Ultimately, the number one thing is pricing. What's our pricing strategy? The pricing strategy is 90% of the game. 90% of the game. Because if you're overpriced, there is no amount of marketing, no amount of secret advertising you can place anywhere that'll get the home sold. Right? If you're overpriced, people might not even come. That's a telltale sign of overpricing. So we want to discuss the pricing strategy. We want to cover the market conditions. That's going to help how we behave in the pricing strategy. Right? What are the current market conditions? Is it a buyer's market, a seller's market? And if we do a good job, right, how long are we going to go through this process? And it's going to be important to those sellers, especially if they live in the house. That's one of my points of discussion when sellers want to overprice their property. Right, if someone wants top dollar for their house, what condition must that house be in for the showing?
It needs to be in presentable condition, show potential. If they don't want to put money into it, show potential. But if they do want to put money into it, make it look, I call it clean lines, you know, clean floors. What people, when they first walk in, what do people look at? That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Get rid of the clutter.
Absolutely. My definition is, Mr. Seller, if you want top dollar for your house, when it's being shown, it must be museum clean. Museum clean. Nobody pays top dollar for anything dirty, ever. Ever. Not a car, not a shirt, not a house. People will pay money for a dirty house, they'll buy it at a discount. Want to sell a house at a discount? No one that I talk to. Always want 10% more than it's worth. That's human nature, right? Museum clean. Now, Mr. Seller, in order for your house to be museum clean, I need you to make the bed every day. I need the floor Swiffered every day. I need the countertops clear every day. No ditches in the sink. No smells. No odors. I mean, the place has to be a museum when people walk through it. Now, Mr. Seller, do you want to do this for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months? Now, some people live in a museum, and that makes it easy, right? Some people, but I don't. Most people don't. Most people don't. So it's going to require effort on their part. And remember, our goal is, A, we need to get the house museum clean, of course, but to get the house sold, we need it to be priced competitively. So in experience, if you overprice and nobody comes, you still have to clean the house. You still have to Swiffer the floor every day because the buyer can come at any minute, right? So, Mr. Seller, do you want to go through this process for 4 or 5 months, or do we want to go through this for a week or two? Because the market says we can get it done in a week or two. It's a strong seller's market. And then we go into our pricing pyramid. Help them understand the demand ratios at price, right? If you list a house at market value, whatever that might be, at a fair price, only 70% of the potential people who have the capability of buying the house will have a look at it, will evaluate it. Why? Because 30% of the people are looking for a deal. It's not a deal at fair price. It's just a good price. If you overprice by 10%, that shrinks the market down to about 20 to 15%. Some people will look at it because they're curious, so there's nothing else to look at. But in comparison to anything else, it's going to lose. It's 10% overpriced. You're competing with better places and better neighborhoods when you do that. Conversely, if you underprice a property 10 to 15%, that opens up 95% of the market, because you get the people that want a house now that are willing to pay market, and you get everyone looking for a good deal. Why is this important? Well, guys, to get people to pay the most, there has to be the fear of loss. If someone has nothing to fear, Mr. Seller, I will make you a low offer. If you don't take my offer, well, your house will be here again tomorrow. I can make another low offer. And it'll be here the next day. It doesn't matter to me, because you're not selling your house at your price. You don't have the activity. Versus, hey, I get to this house, there's a line of people out the door, right? Because it's the best deal around. I call the agent, I can't get a hold of them. They're telling me they got 30 disclosure packets out. Now, Mr. Buyer who wants that house is deathly afraid of losing it. Now it becomes about winning. And then you get the results that the sellers are looking for. And the buyer too, because in this market, winning is a big win. Okay. One of the scripts that I like to use to help people come that to the value question. Like, how do you know you got a good deal on the house that you just bought? How do you know if the price you paid is a good price? How do you know? You guys know? How can you evaluate if it's a good deal or not? We can look at the past, right? What's sold, and we can kind of see relative to. So maybe if the last house sold for $1 million, you got yours for $980, you get a good deal. You know when you'll know? When the next house sells. When the next house sells. If the previous house sold for $1 million and you paid $980, and the next guy pays $950, how good was your deal? Wasn't, right? Because the market's declining. Like, you never know how good of a deal you got until the next guy closes. So right now the trend is to go up. That's the market, that's where it's going. So anything in contract is a good deal, because whatever's closing next is going to close for more. Does that make sense? Right, with the same scenario, everything's at $1 million, you paid $1.010 million, but the next house goes for $1.050 million. Right, you made $40,000 in equity. I would say that's a good deal. Does that make sense, guys? Are we still with me? Did I lose you? Here, that didn't break it. Right. So listing appointments, we want to set expectations, and to make sure that we have a successful transaction, we want to make sure that our expectations are in line with the seller. Right, we're talking about showing houses. We want to explain to them how open houses work. We want to explain to them how to protect themselves and their personal belongings. Right, our buyer's going to open drawers, look through cabinets. Well, we got to prep our sellers to say, hey guys, the buyers are going to open your cabinets. They're going to check your closets, see if they're closable. Any items of value, extreme value, if you don't have a safe, take it to your friend's house. Or put it in a box in the garage. No one's going to go through boxes in your garage. Put it in a box under your bed. No one's going to go through boxes under your bed. But if you leave your Rolex out on the bathroom counter, it could be gone the next day. That's just stupidity. When your house is for sale, don't do that. Don't leave valuable jewelry laying around to make it easy for people. Because even good people in the wrong opportunities do stupid things. So let's not give them those opportunities, right? Prescription medication as well. If the sellers have prescription medication, make sure they secure that. And obviously, if they put it outside of the framework of the house, right? No one's going to go through your furniture, right? Your dressers, no, those should be safe. But closets, hampers, underneath the vanities, things of that nature that are part of the house, it's reasonable to expect the buyer will open and look through things. So yeah, we want to make sure that the seller's possessions are safe. And the other way we keep that security in check is by using our lockboxes. You know, the super key safe Bluetooth LE lockboxes, the blue ones, they record everyone who opens and closes those lockboxes. So that's why we want to use them. We can set times on those lockboxes if the sellers are concerned, hey, I don't want agents just showing up accidentally having a key to get into my house. So on the lockbox, you can dictate the times that it'll work. So if you have, you know, sometimes you have a seller that's swing shift or a graveyard shift worker. You know, they may be asleep from 9 to 1 a.m. or maybe, sorry, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Can't have showings when they're home asleep, right? So you can program the lockboxes to not open during those times. So if a seller has those concerns, we can alleviate those concerns with the lockbox and then just general safety. Home showings, you know, there's nothing more annoying than a seller selling their house while you're trying to view it as a buyer. Nothing more annoying. So 100% no doubt, Mr. Seller, when the buyers are coming through your house, you're going to go for a walk. Best thing to do is not be there. There's nothing you're going to do as a seller to convince someone to buy your house. You're not going to tell them a secret sauce or a special ingredient or a special feature of the house that will win them over and get them to buy the house. It's just not going to happen. As a seller, the best thing we can do to help our cause is what? Museum clean. Museum clean. So just make sure the property is presentable, Mr. Seller. And then and let the buyers feel comfortable. Believe me, when you're there as a seller, the buyers do not feel comfortable. It's just another hurdle to get the house sold. What other facets of selling a home could be important? We talked about pricing, we talked about cleaning, we talked about showing.
So we arranging to have repairs done.
Okay.
Oh, staging.
Okay. If the home is vacant, let's talk about staging. What's the worst thing? Dirty house, right? The second to worst thing is a vacant house. Why? Is a vacant house a negative? Why would it be a negative?
Because it looks vacant. It looks empty. They can't picture
Inspiration of
themselves.
desolation absolutely is a factor, right?
Ah.
Desperate, desolate, empty, not making any money. Yeah, that's empty house, vacant house, cheap house, right? All associations. Staging is an effective way to maximize the appeal of the property. right? Vacant rooms, empty rooms. A cluttered room, number one, a cluttered room is the worst. It appears the smallest. After a cluttered room comes a vacant room. Because a lot of times in a vacant room, people lack imagination. They cannot envision their life in a vacant room. They need some subtle guidance. Where can I put the TV? Right? That's a buying signal, by the way, guys. If you're walking through a house with someone there, looking for where their TV was going to be, right? But people have a very, I guess, lack of imagination, if you will, when it comes to certain things. So proper staging provides a great framework. A well-staged room will appear bigger than a vacant room. And people will be able to feel more at home. If you go to any major builder and look at their model homes, are they vacant? Oh, they're dressed to the nines, right? Because those people that sell homes all day long, they know buyers like to feel comfortable at home in a clean environment. Staging provides that. If you're listed in a listing appointment that's owner occupied, then we're going to stage with the furniture that's there. In most cases, we're going to remove most of the furniture that's there. We want to minimize, and then we want to maximize the flow of the room. But yeah, most bedrooms that are not a primary bedroom, nothing more than a bed and nightstand, maybe a dresser and a dresser or a desk, but not both. No living room, family rooms, maybe one couch, maybe a couch and a love seat. And we want to keep the flow open, so we don't want to close the room off. Staging is a whole class in and of itself in an art. There are stagers you can leverage. Like, I'm a terrible interior designer, so I don't even try. But I have 3 on speed dial that are awesome. So vacant homes, if I'm in a listing appointment and it's vacant, I already know which stagers I'm going to invite to give me quotes to talk about the staging with the clients. If the house is not vacant, then you're going to either have to do it or you pay a couple $100 for a designer to come through and help you. And for me, it's worth it. And my stager will come in and stage the house with their furniture to maximize.
Quick question. As an agent, are you expected to use your commission to pay for any of this stuff? Or should we have them pay for it?
Good question. There's no right or wrong answer to that. It's your business. I'll tell you what I do. I pay for things that will expose the property and help market the property for sale. The homeowner pays for all improvements to the property to make them more money. I view staging as an improvement. It's kind of a 50-50. If I'm working with a 6% commission, I would cover the staging. If I'm working on any less than a 6% commission, it goes to the seller in my business. But I pay for the photos, I pay for all the ads, I pay for the websites, the signs, anything to market the home to the public, I pay for as the agent. That's part of the marketing cost. Now, we also have Keller offers. I highly recommend you guys go through that Keller offers training. Keller offers finances, home improvements for home sellers at no cost to the seller. They pay the money back, of course, but there's no interest charge. So in many cases, we've had where people have fronted the money for repairs, they fronted the money for anything and everything. But when you do that, and when I've done that, I've always been reimbursed, and then the commission on top. Yeah, I had one where, you know, the flooring needed to be done. The guy didn't have the cash for the flooring. I had to put out 15K for the flooring. And when it sold, I got my 6% plus my 15K back.
Okay, I have a question on that. So
Please.
I don't know where I learned this, but it was recent, that if you're putting money into the property as an agent, you have to be careful that you don't become part of the deal, because you can get in trouble. You're not supposed to be paying for the reports, like the inspection reports or things like that, because you become part of the deal. They told me, don't do anything like that.
It's not true.
Okay. Okay,
I
good.
paid for reports left and right. It doesn't change anything. You can pay for reports. That's one of the paying for reports is one of my hooks that I used early in my career to get buyers. Right? I used to put that in my ads. Anyone who signs up for a buyer consultation this weekend will get a free certificate for a free home termite and roof inspection. It's $1,000 value that I pay for. People would come and you give their presentation and they commit to working with you and only you, of course. Yeah. Here's your certificate. The certificate states is, yeah, when you buy your house for Mark will I will reimburse the cost of all inspections. When you buy your house with Mark. Right? I don't pay out $1,000 without getting my 30 grand in commission first. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, you can, there are things you can get involved with, and that doesn't make you a part of the transaction.
Okay.
The one thing that they wanted us to kind of, from Keller offers, is they don't want us to general contract the modeling, if you will. With that, you can get into a little bit of trouble. That's why they use Keller offers, uses their contractors. In general, you totally step away. They handle everything. It's kind of nice, actually. Otherwise, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Coordinate repairs. I'm not a contractor. There. Anything else about listing appointments?
Well, I had a question regarding that client I had, that house in Menlo Park. It's still on the market. And, you were talking about the house being empty, and then, I don't know, is it because it's not selling because it's empty, and it's because it's overpriced? Because it's been on the market for 166 days.
Yeah. That house is not selling, and I'll be honest here. Let's be brutally honest. Number one, the agent from out of this area doesn't know what in the world he's doing. That's the biggest reason that house is sold. Number two, it's way overpriced. And three, yeah, it's under market. Which all goes back to one. The agent way out of her depth. But it is what it is. And we're in that position now. Your client has an opportunity to negotiate. Did he ever sign that contract or no?
No, he never signed it.
Well, send them back. Were you able to get in front of him again or talk to him at all?
Well, I had emailed him and I never got a response. So, and I heard he was in Hawaii with his kids during the holidays. So I'm not sure it's because of that, but I don't know. I don't want to, I'm not sure when to keep emailing him or contacting him. Because I reached out before Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if someone has an intention of writing an offer, they want to write the offer, and you spend you're 30, 45 minutes going through that whole process. Like if I went through that like you did and the person ghosted me, I'd be pissed.
Right.
Like I would be calling them every hour until they answer the damn phone. You took an hour of my damn time to write this goddamn thing. You're not even going to take 15 minutes to sign it, or at least give me the courtesy of calling you back over me. That's me though.
Yeah.
I'm a little rougher, but the point I'm trying to get across to you would be, don't be timid in these situations, right? This person that requested your time, effort, and energy, right? Well, show them what that is. That means you got to call them.
Yeah.
You got to bug them. And you can't feel like you're calling or bugging. You got to feel like, hey, dude, I just invested an hour of my time.
Yeah, because I was thinking
Because
about that.
it's not that I pushed you, buddy. You called me. I invested this time. I expect you to sign this within the hour. Please hurry up.
Or at least give me a response saying, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Instead of ghosting me.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna be torturing yourself for the next 3 days, like I'm sure you did, right? Is he gonna sign? Is he not gonna sign? And you check it, you don't check it. Don't be afraid to piss people off sometimes.
Okay.
The other thing,
A
the
lot
other
of
thing,
times we take our stance and we do things that we're so scared to upset people. If they're doing you wrong, who cares? Like if this guy's jerking you around and you're nice to him, and okay, 3 months later he calls back with another one, and you waste another 2 or 3 days, right? And he does it again 3 months later. What good is that to you, Vilma?
Yeah, nothing. It's like I shouldn't be working for a person like that.
Right.
And that's how I'm kind of feeling right now. And I'm thinking if I send him another, message and he doesn't respond to me, he's not the person I should be working with.
Yep. Exactly.
Because it is, we spend a lot of time, going over through
And like
that.
I said, but don't shortchange yourself. I wouldn't just let it go and let it go. Call him.
Okay.
Call him and demand. I would demand, but call him and ask him what's up. Dude, we have a great opportunity. I think we can negotiate a good win for this townhouse for you. You no longer believe in the market. Because if you don't, that's fine. Just tell me and I'll stop bugging you.
Okay.
But if you do believe in the market, sign the damn thing.
Right.
And let me go to work and negotiate, see if we can get it done. Because the reality is we're lowballing. The likelihood of them accepting this offer is pretty slim. But the longer we jerk this around, the harder it will be for me to negotiate with these people.
Right.
Because I called them last week and they were thinking I'm serious. Nothing came through. When I call them this week, they may not take my call. And what I'm afraid of is when I call them for my serious client who really wants to buy the house and wasn't just dicking me around, I won't get the call because I wasted it on you, Mr. Buyer. It's tough. It's tough. And you're doing a good job, man. You're working so hard. I know it's tough when you're new. And it's tough to put the foot down when you're new too. I just want to let you know it's okay to do that. You have to. If he called me complaining about you, I'd put him in his place just like you did.
Okay.
So I got you back.
Thank you.
You really did nothing wrong there, Vilma. You worked hard. You took his call. Right?
Yeah.
Yes to his price. Spent the time to write it all up. I would say this: like, who took the time to write up a contract and send something out in DocuSign? Like, I would call that person every hour until they signed it, unless they had a reason, right? Call them, I'm in a meeting. I'll be done with my meeting sometime later. By 2 o'clock. Cool. I'll call you at 2:05. Boom.
Right.
And try to leave everything. And this is just, I guess, general advice. Whenever leaving a follow-up scenario, like, what's the next step? Right? What's going to be the next step?
Yeah.
The next step is always, I will call you. Expect my call at this time. We want to be in control of these scenarios. You don't want to leave it up to them. And if they insist on an I'll call you situation, then in the back of your mind, I would already put them on the back burner.
Okay.
Because the I'll call you is life lessons of reality of sales 101.
Okay, I have another question. I have a friend, and you know, when before I got into real estate, she said, "Oh, you know, when I buy my house, I'm gonna, I want you to represent me." So when I told her I got my, license, she was really excited, and now she's going through this BA loan, and then the lender had told her that she has to go with an agent who's more, knowledgeable about VA loans. Is that true?
No, come and go. Control. Find a new lender.
Pardon?
You refer the lender to her, or did you
No,
the
I
lender
didn't.
from her?
She went. with the-
Oh, she went to them direct?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say it's time. And it's tough. The VA, VA is tough. VA is tough. It may be more of a favor to you than anything else if you let that go on one hand. The challenge with VA loans in this area is that, number one, I'd say this, a great program. The people that benefit from that program deserve 1,000%. And I wish it was greater and better and more giving, if you will, to help our military veterans even more. But the challenge we have here is the prices are in excess of the loan limit for most VA loans, especially to 100%, unless you're heading out far, like Hollister, Tracy, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In those areas, you may be able to do it. The only thing with the VA loans that's different from anything else is they require the property to meet certain conditional requirements.
Okay.
Like fixer-uppers don't work with VA loans,
Okay.
unfortunately. But any home in a decent condition, as long as there's no safety issues, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's just a challenge to get them accepted because they're typically 100% financing, and you're going against competition with cash or with stronger financing. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that sellers accept VA loans over other loans? Do you have a harder time getting your offers accepted?
You will have a harder time getting your offer accepted. Absolutely. It's a challenge, especially now, even more so without the love letter. With a love letter, you might be able to sway somebody.
Yeah.
Hit them on the emotions of, hey, this person is working for our country. Let's help them out a little bit. I had a scenario where that's actually, you don't turn your nose up and refuse to write, because I've had situations where my buyer had financing and they beat out a cash offer simply because the seller wanted to help the little guy out. For them, the money at the end of the day was going to be the same, maybe $1,000 one way or the other. But the seller was like, you know what? The other folks that have all this cash, they have plenty of cash. They don't need the opportunity. These guys are starting out in life. This house will help them way more than these other people. So we got selected. So you never know.
I've done one VA loan, and there was a lot of surprises that they had come up with. Is there like a place we can look to get more experience and learn what to expect from a VA loan?
I guess if you just look at, network with the VA lenders. And I would say if that's an avenue you really want to pursue, I would avoid most lenders in our area just because they don't have the experience. We don't have a big military presence here anymore. Moffett Field's been closed for a while, right?
Yeah.
If you find lenders out of San Diego, there's brokers out of San Diego that do VA loans left and right all day long because there's a huge military community down there, like Southern Orange County and Northern San Diego. And they're a broker, and they'll loan all throughout the state.
Okay.
And just ask them, hey, Mr. Lender, What are the requirements? And Vilma, you can call that lender yourself and say, hey, Mr. Lender, I heard you've been telling my client to go find another agent. Instead of that, why don't you tell me what the requirements are? I'm going to help my friend buy a house. Or would you like me to refer her to a different agent or a different lender? And kind of take that.
Oh, this kind of piggybacks onto that. When we're writing the listing or we're setting up the listing agreement and we're putting it on the MLS, the MLS asks for financing, conventional VA, what cash, what do we just I used to just robo it, automatically, yes, VA, yes, conventional, yes, cash. What should we be doing? Should we be asking?
Well, that's going to depend. That's going to depend on the scenario and what type of property it is. If it's a single family home, you have way more flexibility. You can do all those things. If it's a condo, you might have an issue. Not all condos work with FHA or VA loans. The condominium complex has to be approved. So if you're gonna check those boxes on condos and mobile homes, just make sure that whatever program you're okaying on the acceptable financing, that it's okay with that community. But single family homes, anything goes. Like you can buy a single family home for $3 million with a VA loan. The VA loan's only going to be 700 grand. You just got to come up with a 2.3 cash yourself, right? You can still do it. Theoretically.
Okay.
You never know. Could have been a businessman, came out of the military, has the VA option, has a couple of $1 million too. You don't know. You don't know. All right, guys. So we've come to the end of our hour. What do you guys think of this session? Did you guys get value from it?
Yes, a lot of value.
Yes, thank you.
Vilma, you came a little late.
Yeah, I'm in the office.
I didn't mean to be harsh with you, dear.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
I know sometimes I can be a little abrasive when I explain things, and my wife will vouch for this. I don't intend to be. Just sometimes my personality can be a little rough. So that wasn't my intention.
The one cool thing is after each of these sessions, I actually get a little bit more motivated, and I go, oh, now I know what I'm going to be doing today. It really helps me kind of pull my day and get going. So that's one of the good things I really enjoy about it.
Well, I mean, ultimately, guys, the 10-4 is the thing. To 10 people today.
Yeah.
Vilma, talk to 10 people today before you go. Try to talk to 10 people today about real estate and set appointments. To meet, talk about it.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Bye, Mark.
Thanks for joining today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
You too.